What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to review something that has to do with music and the quality of the music. So in this case, we're going to discuss the Rockville RBG 12S. This is the model with the wheels on it. You can also buy the model without wheels. I just needed the wheels, so this is the one we're reviewing. Now, I have a bone to pick with Rockville because not in their literature on Amazon, not in their literature on their website says anything about the problem that I'm about to describe. And it is a very vital problem. So let's get into it. So I need a small DJ system, a small PA system for what I do. We're not going to get into it. I just need it for what I do, right? So I have two 10-inch tops and they sound amazing. And I was just trying to upgrade my system by getting a low end. Now, I have a pretty good ear for music and I know roughly what I need. And I felt like I don't need nothing super powerful. I just need something to give my tens some low end, right? So I decided to go on Amazon and I'm hunting for subwoofers, and I see that they can get pretty pricey if you're not, if you're not careful with your budget. Due to the fact that I am on a budget, this was right around my price range. So I start looking at the specs and I'm like, all right, cool. Is this size? Is this amount of power? Is 350 RMS? That's perfect. I don't need to shut the party down. This is perfect, right? So I'm all happy and stuff. I order it. It comes home. I'm excited. I'm tracking it. I'm tracking the Amazon package. I'm all excited. It gets here and I plug it up and I'm in the garage jamming it. I'm all hyped up because I have an event to go to, like a picnic at the park. So I take it with me and I'm all excited about playing music and stuff, and then about an hour into it, it's a pretty warm day. About an hour into it, it cuts off. I'm walking around the park, by the way. I'm around friends, so I leave my stuff right there next to a friend. All our canopies are right there. So I walk off, and he's like, hey, man, your subwoofer cut off. And I'm like, it did? So I'm just thinking to myself, like, well, maybe somebody kicked the wire. Let me go check it out. So I go over there. I got the generator running. Everything is running. The light on the sub is still on. So I turn it off and I turn it back on and it's still not cutting on. So I said, and when I went to go cut it off again, my knuckle touched it and it was hot. And I was like, whoa, this is super hot. I was like, well, let me let it cool off. Sometimes sometimes if the inside of an amp gets too hot, it'll start like unsticking. It'll start the glues and stuff that they use in there. It'll start drying that out and breaking that, and things could start unplugging and whatnot. So I just like immediately cut it off. But I didn't think nothing of it. I just didn't think nothing of it outside of that. So now I'm functioning at the park. The tops are going still, no problem. Come back about 30 minutes to an hour or so. Come back, turn it back on. It fires on, and I'm excited. Yes, crank it back up. I leave it up to about 12 o'clock. It's about noon, referencing a clock, right? So the frequency on the sub is about uh, 11 o'clock, right? Because it's soft, but it has a little punch to it. If I bring it to 12 o'clock, it'll have a more of an aggressive punch. And the further you go forward, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it gets real punchy. You lose all the soft low end and the frequency changes. So anyway, if you know, you know. So anyhow, it cuts off again within like 20 minutes. So I'm like, what? I'm a little disappointed. So turn it off. So now I end the day, wrap it all up, come home, and I'm just like, I don't understand why my thing overheated. So I go on Amazon and I'm looking at everything and I'm just like, it doesn't dawn on me yet what the problem is. I look at the 15s. I said, maybe I need a 15 or an 18 then, now I'm just like I'm bummed, I just spent almost $300 on this sub and now I got to go spend another 350. Now I have to spend even more for a bigger one. So I was just a little bit disappointed. So then there's another function comes up. So I bring it out there, I'm thinking like, all right, I'm going to keep it low this time. But I had to keep it so low that it was almost as if like I shouldn't even brought it, type thing. We heard a little bit of low end, but I was just scared that it was going to overheat at this point. I wasn't confident at all. So I go on YouTube and I'm watching videos and everybody's like, this is a great one. This is a great speaker. You can buy two of them and link them and all these great features. And I'm just thinking like, so nobody else is overheated, just mine? Maybe I got a defective sub, right? So it's been in the garage now. I bought it in 2021. So I have a family reunion coming up. So I got a good homie, man, DJ Boulevard. Shout out DJ Boulevard, legendary LA DJ, man. So I tapped in with him and I said, hey, man, I had already told him about my setup. That's kind of what like what locked us in. When we first got introduced in the way we did. We started interacting, talking about music, and I was like, hey, I got some DJ speakers, and obviously he has the master issues, the professional issues. So anyway, I was like, hey man, my sub is gets hot. What could I do? I was thinking about running it to a car amp, and he was like, well, just make sure there's fans on it, make sure it's cool, something to keep it cool. And I was just like, all right, cool. And it still didn't dawn on me, right? So I was just thinking like, all right, maybe I'll just put a house fan right on the back of it or something. I don't know. The next day, I talked to the homie. That at night, the next day, I went out to my garage and I looked at the back of my sub, and I saw this. And it still didn't occur to me that there's no vents or there's no fans right there, right? So I took all the screws out, and I opened it up. And inside, right behind this amplifier, it's like a shoebox. It's a very small enclosure, and it's separate. It's to separate the amp from the speaker. And I still don't know what's going on. I don't think nothing of it. I'm trusting the company at this point. So I'm just like, I don't know what to do, It's like, and then I was like, I'm trying to think of like, okay, so I could put the fan outside, or maybe I could put the fan inside, but I can't because it's enclosed. And then it just like dawned on me, like, that's why it's getting hot. It's like you have this amplifier that's not, it's not no big monster amplifier. It's a small amplifier, It's in a shoebox enclosure. Doesn't have any extra space. It doesn't have any air to breathe. It doesn't have any ventilation air going in and out or nothing, no airflow. So when it gets hot, it just gets hot with the heat of itself. It just, it expedites the heat. So I just do what I know how to do. So I don't have no power tools. I don't have no power saws or anything like that. I do have power tools, just I don't have no power saw. So anyway, I go get my drill bit and I start puncturing holes all through the shoebox. That's what it looks like. And I also have circular cutters in a diameter about a mayonnaise jar, about 3 inches. So I drill holes at the bottom of the shoebox. Boom, boom. And I'm like, okay. I ordered two mini fans from Amazon. I figured when they get here, I'm going to put them on the bottom of the box, and they're going to blow air into the fan, into the amp, and I'm going to be okay. Well, when the fans get here, they were 4.7 by 4.7, meaning they were almost 5 by 5s. And they were just a little bit too big to put on the bottom of the amplifier enclosure because the subwoofer speaker magnet was right behind there. So there was no room for the fan. So after puncturing all these holes, it looked like Swiss cheese in there, I used my circular cutter to cut the bottom holes out, but I couldn't do that because of the magnet of the woofer. So I had to use that cutter and cut holes on the side walls. Of course, it looked all messed up. I had to do it at an angle, so it looked really ugly. But I was able to open up one of the walls inside the amp enclosure, and I was able to use the drill holes that I put to run my zip ties through and to secure my fans right in that corner pocket right there where it says Rockville, right at the E, right outside of the amplifier. There's about a two inch space right there, 2.5 inch space maybe right there. And I was able to slide the fan in there and angle it to where the back of the fan is not touching the wall. It's kind of off the wall so it can get air. And while the woofer is firing, it's generating air. So the fan should be okay. Put the amp back in there. And I said, well, the fans are powered by USB. I didn't want to cut the cord and run it to the power to the amp because I didn't want it to draw any more power. I didn't want to chance the amp not being able to handle it. So I decided to drill a 1-inch hole right next to the amplifier. Let me see if there's a photo where we can No, there isn't. So right next to this amplifier, there's about 3 inches of a box left, maybe 4 inches of box left. So in between the amplifier and the edge of the box, I put a 1 inch hole, uh, circular hole right there. Ran the wire through there, and I powered the wire because it's USB. I used one of my power banks just for the moment. Plugged it up. Fans kicked in. They kicked on, and so I put the woofer back in and stuff like that. Put everything back together, and I noticed that. So I started playing music with a lot of bass, and I went to Spotify and just typed in bass, and it gave me a playlist of Travis Scott, of a whole bunch of artists that have a lot of bass in their music. Even pulled up some old school guys like DJ Magic Mike, just late '80s bassy stuff. And I was trying to stress out the amp to where it would overheat, but it didn't even get warm. The panel did not even get warm. Now, mind you, when I was at the park before, the panel burned my knuckle. It was so hot. So now the panel is not even getting warm. And right here in the front, at the bottom, as you guys can see, the portholes right there, the air vents, the air coming out of that is like AC. It's coming out real cold. So that means that temperature air that's blowing out, that's the temperature air that's circulating inside. So that's what's keeping that amplifier in there cool. Now that the shoebox back there is completely torn open, is drilled open. So for those of you guys who are looking for a subwoofer, this is a great sub. This is a great speaker. It sounds amazing. You don't have to crank it all the way up. 12 o'clock is plenty. I was shaking. I had it in my garage and it was shaking stuff. I almost broke. My wife has glass on the shelves in the garage. We almost lost them. The whole house was shaking. She was in the back room. She was just like, "You were shaking everything back here," and I was like, "Good," because I'm never gonna really fire it that loud. I was just trying to get the amp to get hot, and it did a great job. It didn't even get warm. So if you guys are gonna buy this speaker, you're gonna have to get your hands dirty. There's an enclosure right when you pull this amp panel off. It's like a shoebox in there. You're gonna have to. I don't want to say remove it because I think there's some support in there that the amp needs to be able to drill into. But outside of that support, I think you can knock it right out. If you have special tools, special cutters, you can cut that whole bottom base out and leave like, you guys can leave like a 1 inch lip right there, and cut the rest of the box completely out. You don't really need it. It doesn't really need to be there. So and get you some fans from Amazon. I will put the links to the fans that I used, and just as an extra, I for my 10-inch tops, the amplifier on that also gets pretty hot, but it never cut out on me, and I've had it for about 4 years. I drilled some holes. It's in a plastic box, so I drilled some holes on both sides, and I can feel warm air coming out of one side, right where the side where it's closest to the amp, but the amp still gets hot on the outside. So I ordered 2 more fans because I'm gonna try to figure out how to rig these fans for my tops so that my tops doesn't get hot. So I recommend these fans. They do a great job. Put them on your in your house systems and your car systems. Just they're pretty small so that you can hide them pretty good, but they work really well. You can use them to blow air into, or you can use them to suck air out from. All right, guys, I hope you guys got something out of this, and I hope this was helpful in some kind of way because this is a very good speaker. I wish that Rockville would have put this information out. Maybe they just don't want to because they don't want to have to recall it, or it's going to disappoint a lot of people. And if you bought this speaker right here, it's most likely that you don't know too much about DJ or PA systems. Those of you who know about PA systems know probably not to buy this one. So I can see where a lot of people who are uneducated, naive, will just buy the 15 or the 18 just to resolve that problem instead of troubleshooting like I did or reaching out to someone who may know. And in this case, where if you guys don't have a DJ friend available, then you guys can just go online and go on your social medias and see what what people can help you with there, you know. But anyways, man, I just wanted to put this out there. Rockville, for your 2024, 2025 models, man, please put fans and vents into these subs because they're great subs. And the 10-inch and the 12-inch don't have a fan or vent, and you guys are getting a bad rap out here. You know, you guys are, people are disappointed. People are calling your subs cheap, and they're not cheap, man. They sound great. All right, so I want to save you guys, spare you guys that headache. You guys should put out a memo on your IGs, on your social medias, make a YouTube video. Maybe you should get a guy uh that knows how to, I don't know, maybe you guys should just construct a whole new box with that whole little pocket behind the amp wide open. All right, why you guys enclosed it? It's beyond me. It really doesn't make any it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Design wise, engineer wise, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I could see if like the magnet was gonna interfere with something back there, but it's not that close for it to interfere. So I don't understand why you guys put an enclosure to it. All right. So, anyways, man, it takes guys like myself who get a kick out of trying to figure out how to fix things and how to make things better. I'm a kid from the '80s, so that's what we did. So anyway, I hope you guys got something out of this. All right, guys, peace.